Hey, I'm so glad you clicked on this video. That means that you want to learn how to forgive and you want to move on. Because you know what? Holding on to resentment, as you already know, is like drinking poison and expecting somebody else to die. It just ain't going to happen. And it's slowly really killing you. It is. So let's get started on how to overcome. So I'm going to assume I don't need to know specifically who hurt you. I just need to know that they have. It could be anything. It could be a parental relationship, your mom or your dad, where you feel like you didn't get the love that you wanted. It could be a boyfriend or girlfriend. It could be a husband that blindsided you. Anything is really applicable here because we're going to talk about in a bigger picture type of way, not a specific situation. All right. Whenever we are having an inability to forgive somebody, the first thing to understand is that it's because of our expectation of how that person was supposed to behave versus the reality of how that person really is. When your expectation doesn't line up with reality, it creates resentment. So let's take, for example, I'm going to give you a story about my dad. I expect a father to be somebody who's loving, kind, compassionate, considerate, understanding, available, a rock, accessible, all the things that we conjure up when we think father. You can do the same thing now for mother or husband or whoever it is that you feel hurt you. What are your expectations of how that person was supposed to behave? The next thing I want you to do is I want you to take a step back away from the role that you're having an expectation for, and I want you to look at the real person instead. If I look at my dad's name was Tim, and I look at Tim was a man who was, wanted to be a loving person and was a loving person, but was also an active alcoholic for most of my life. So if I just take alcoholism itself, active addiction, and I look at it and I say, how does somebody behave in active addiction? Well, they are obsessed with their drug of choice. They are unavailable. They are unreliable. They are untrustworthy sometimes, or I can have a list of things that I have an expectation for how that person is supposed to behave. You can do the same with whoever you feel you hold the resentment to now. Take a look at the individual. Ask yourself, what is it? What's the reality of that person? How did they grow up? What situation were they wrestling with? What personality do they have? And then ask yourself, how is that person supposed to behave? Well, if I ask myself that about my dad, I'd say, well, an alcoholic behaves like an alcoholic, right? And then the third question is, after you say, what's your expectation of who you think they're supposed to be? The second question is, who are they really? The third question is, well, what the hell does that have to do with you? Right? Well, let me tell you, when my dad was unavailable to me or, getting drunk, I made that about me a lot, right? Where I would say, what's wrong with me that my dad can't choose me over the alcohol? Or what's wrong with me that my dad doesn't remember my birthday? Or what's wrong with me? And all the resentment started to build. The reality was, well, my dad was an active alcoholic in his disease. No shit, he didn't remember a birthday. What the hell does that have to do with me? That's what I want you to understand. I want you to look at the person in your life right now who's disappointed you. I want you to be real about how else that person was supposed to behave, given their knowledge, their wherewithal, their smarts, their wits, not how you think they're supposed to behave, but the reality of that person. You cannot have a higher expectation for somebody than they're capable of actually living into. Okay? People are who they are, and it has nothing to do with you. They left you, it has nothing to do with you. They hurt you, it has nothing to do with you. Hurt people hurt people. People who hurt people hurt people. If it wasn't you, it'd be somebody else. You forgive them and you move on because you understand they behaved exactly how they were supposed to. Let me know if this is helpful for you. I know it's helpful for me. It's helped me overcome a lot in my life to put things into perspective that way. If you want to learn more about that and my story and how I help people, go to lovecoachheidi.com or subscribe to the YouTube channel and share the video with friends that you know can benefit from it too. They're holding on to shit. Let it go, right? Let it go, let it go. Okay. Anyway, I love you. I'll see you in another video, and take really excellent care of yourself, okay? Bye-bye.